Welcome to another Hoops and Dreams podcast. Unlike our normal preview shows, this is the first of the reviews that we're calling Rangers Roundup. Our aim is to use the international breaks to review progress so far and discuss the club we love. Joining me is Matt, and I will be relying upon him to curtail my enthusiasm. Welcome, Matt, and hope you're well.
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. Much better now. Now we're into the... In this first review of the season, Matt and I will be casting our eyes over the initial matches that we played, both Championship and Cup, as well as reviewing the performances of the squad, in particular those newbies, and any other club news that's going on, for example, like stadium, loans, injuries, any areas that we're exposed, etc. So let's start our review with a recap of the matches so far. We opened our competitive matches with QPR against West Bromwich Albion. That was on Saturday, the 10th of August in the Championship, and we lost that one 3-1. Not exactly the start we were looking for. We then followed that up with the Carabao Cup match against Cambridge away, won that 2-1. And Sheffield United against QPR, we drew that 2-2. And then Plymouth, we also drew that 1-1. And that left us with QPR against Luton in the Carabao Cup, which we won 4-1 on penalties. And Luton against QPR on Friday, the 30th of August, which we won 2-1. And of course, everybody was jumping up and down about that. Those championship points, they translate, 5 out of a possible 12, translates into around about 57 points I worked out over, if you extrapolate that over the season. So we'll come back to that later on. But the Carabao Cup, according to my records, we progressed to round 3 only 8 times in this century. So that's pretty good going. So Matt, can I ask you for a quick summary of the R's results and performances in those 4 championship games and those 2 Carabao Cup rounds, please?
No problem at all. I think it's been an okay start. If you look at the opening fixtures, we faced in between those, we faced Sheffield United away and Luton away, 2 of the teams that went down from the Premier League last season. West Brom, who are probably going to be there and thereabouts, come the playoffs towards the end of the season. And Plymouth always tricky to play against. So a very, very difficult start, and didn't start the best of ways against West Brom. I thought they played very well, especially in the second half. So we had to accept that the way it was. Sheffield United was pretty impressive, especially coming back from 2-0 down and with 10 men for most of the second half. Plymouth was the game that we probably should have won. They had 10 men for most of the game, and I know they had 9 men, but that was towards the end of the game. Yeah, and we had so many chances to do so. And beating Luton twice in a week was pretty impressive. It's rare that it happens that you play 2 teams twice in a week, but to beat them twice in a week, it's yeah, it didn't please the Luton fans very well. But yeah, I was there on Friday against Luton, and the scenes in the away end were fantastic. Our away support, I think, sometimes gets underappreciated at times. We were so loud for most of the game, and the second half comeback was fantastic to see. And yeah, I think overall been an okay start. I think the new players are starting to gel in, and I look forward to see how the next few months progress.
Yeah, I mean, there's no hiding away from the fact that the optimism had built up over the summer, fueled by that earlier thumping of Leeds. However, we were not going to carry on as we left off. I don't think that was quickly extinguished as soon as we saw the lackluster performance against the Baggies. I mean, nobody should doubt that our players are competitive. All modern footballers these days are hugely competitive. But I guess the question then was, after the Baggies, could Marty turn it around from such a poor start into a more switched on performance against Cambridge City, and more importantly against the Blades? And whatever he said or got into their heads, I don't know. the effort was noticeably positive, as you were saying. Even if the results against Sheffield United and Plymouth were only draws, we were achieving more crosses and passes. And the final third, we were actually scoring goals. Incredible. I'm just not used to this. The Luton matches just reinforced that. So there was much to be positive about, I think. And you're right about Luton. I read, I think it was on Facebook on one of the fan sites. The last time that we achieved 2 wins over the same club in a week was back in 1976, I think. I've got a feeling that was against Plymouth. I think I'm right in saying that. Anyway, so Matt, we're playing out from the back wherever possible, but our teams are, I think teams have sort of got a bit switched on about this, and they're adopting a high press against us to stifle our play. Do you feel that Marty should change his style of play at all?
It's a tricky one because you see so many teams do it when you don't see it, like the likes of Everton. When you watch Everton in the Premier League, they initially do long ball and they're quite physical with their style of play. Luton do it at times, but most of the time on Friday they were hoofing up to the likes of Adebayo and Morris, so they were quite physical. Um, I thought at times on Friday we got quite lucky playing out from the back, and
Mm.
I don't know. I see sometimes that we try and guess where to pass, or we try a pass at an angle where it's just not going to do. It's not going to work, and we put the ball out of play, or it's a misplaced pass, and then we're already on the back foot. So um, I'm kind of glad we're playing this progressive football. I think now we've got the players to do so, especially in attacking areas. But there's definitely times where I wouldn't say panic, but we sort of go like, okay, what do we do next? And we give the ball away cheaply. So I think there's going to be a time where there's going to be a really poor mistake, because that's the way we play. But I'm pretty pleased the way we are, and I think it suits the team for most of it, really.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. Um, I know you mentioned earlier on that the baggies and the blades. I mean, playing those in the first month was a bit of a tough start and a challenge. I do agree, and I think Plymouth, for some reason, we almost play them as if we never know what to do against them. So they are a troublesome one for us, but I'm not quite sure why. But I do agree with you. Let's hope that next month it's a bit more straightforward. Um, so let's move on anyway to a general discussion about the players, Matt. Did the club do well in the transfer window, do you think?
Yeah, to majority, yeah. I think we've covered for most positions that we needed. Um, for striker, I think with Salah, I think we just need to be a little bit patient. I think we was with Dykes for a couple of years, and he wasn't the best goal scorer, but there were times we had to stick with him and supported him at times. So I think we have to do the same and be patient with him. Um, Getting the likes of Dembele and Sato. Sato has been taking time to adjust. I think he just needs to get a bit more physical. But Dembele has been impressive from the off. I read a stat somewhere that Dembele had the most dribbles in one game on the QPR debut, I think the most of any QPR player. So
Okay.
um, impressive debut, and I can't wait to see more of him. Um, and especially the goalkeeper, I thought Begovic last season was coming towards the end, in terms of his shot stopping. Is he wasn't at his best, and we had to get especially a ball playing keeper that what Marty wants to play as. So and he was quite impressive on Friday. So I think Nadi's settling in very well. So
Yeah,
I think
it's pretty cool, doesn't he? Very relaxed on the ball. In fact, I'm the one who's screaming, be careful," out from the stands because I do worry about him as well. But he looks super cool on the ball.
100%. Touch wood, he hasn't made a humongous mistake yet. If it happens, it happens. Just the way we play. Um, but I think most of the time he's been quite cool on the ball, playing out from the back. You never see him panic at all. And his shot stopping is not too bad either. So I think
No.
we got a solid goalkeeper there for a couple of years, and should keep us in good stead.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think you're right about Sato. I think initially he did seem to struggle with the physicality, but I noticed that he once he came on, I think he came on against Luton, and he was really getting stuck in. And I thought, great, this is really good. This is what I want to see. I mean, equally, we could say the same about Dembele because I think when Dembele's made some fantastic dribbles or passes or whatever, what's let him down generally is the physicality side. I mean, in all fairness, he is only half the size of almost everybody else. I mean, when he stands next to Jimmy Dunn, it must be awful for him, you know. But he's got the quality. I totally agree with you there. What about Morrison?
Yeah, you know what? Against Luton in the cup game, I thought he was quite comfortable. I think he'll be a great addition to us as a sort of backup, especially in the. I think the cup games have been very useful for him. The Cambridge one and the Luton game. I think playing in the cup it gives opportunities for these players like Santos as well
Mm.
to get an opportunity and showcase what they've got. Um, and yeah, I think Morrison settled in very well. And whenever Jimmy Dunn gets injured or Clark Salter, Steve Cook, any of them, I'm sure he'll be in a good position to step in and do a job for us.
Do you think he's been brought in as a replacement next season for Steve Cook or something?
In hindsight, probably Clark Salter.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, could be.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think Clark Salter has been so impressive since now he's had time to play with the team and he's so impressive on the ball. It's quite cool as well. And he's had a few Premier League clubs after him um from last season, and I'm sure in January they'll be looking at him as well. So I think having Morrison as a backup for a potential sale for Clark Salter, then
Makes sense.
um
Yeah.
yeah, I think it definitely makes sense for sure.
And we shouldn't forget, I suppose, Benny also. He played against Cambridge, if I remember rightly, and it was okay, you know.
Yeah, Marty's brought in the likes of Alfie Lloyd and
Mm.
Benny. Alfie Lloyd's been doing okay. I thought he struggled at times against Luton on Friday, but yeah, he's been playing a sort of a he's a striker, Alfie Lloyd, but he's been playing a sort of a left wing. But I think Marty's trying to get the sort of versatility around the team to try and get him into different positions. Santos has been played as right wing, right back. So I think with the players that we've got, if they can be versatile in other positions, then that's more helpful for us. It saves us bringing in more players that we have yeah, to do so. So yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. I mean, Seller, what you said earlier on about he needs time, we need to give him time to get going. I absolutely agree. I think particularly with strikers, you have this business about confidence, you have this business about being sort of fit for striking. They need to play a good few games before they get their eye in, it seems, and know how to get past the offside traps and whatever. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Which I think brings us around to the only other one, which is do you think that Harrison Ashby, who was signed on loan from Newcastle, was there as a right back cover because of Reggie Cannon going? They knew he was going to go.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And I do wonder if Ashby can play left back as well. Left
Mm.
back was the one position I was pretty concerned about. For a long time in the summer, Kenneth Powell was his future was in doubt, and I thought he was going to. I think Watford were one of the main teams after him, and if we sold him, then there was no one there to sort of cover. Um, and now Reggie Cannon is gone. Um, yeah, I think getting a I think using the loan market has been useful for us for the last couple of years. Um, and having a backup, especially with Jimmy Dunn as well. I think having to rely on Jimmy Dunn to play every single game, he's had to adapt to his position as well. So to find someone that's been a right back for mainly his whole career, then that should give Jimmy, if he needs a rest, he'll have a rest. So um, yeah, I think it's good to have a backup there.
Yeah, we shouldn't forget, I suppose, Heverton Santos as well. Uh, they
Yeah.
equally right back or right wing back. Um, yeah, that's fair enough. And you mentioning about Kenneth Powell brings me on to another thing, which is the injuries, of course. And we've got Marcus Fox, who would have normally been the one who would cover for Kenneth Powell if he ever got injured, or even if we'd have sold him. But as it what happened, we've kept him, we've kept Ilias Chair, and we've kept Jake Clark-Salter. So we've been, in some ways, more fortunate than we thought, but probably not from the treasurer at the club will have been saying, no, I could do with a bit more money, lads, I'm sure. But there we go. So yeah, Marcus Fox we needed back. We need him back yesterday, really, if truth be known. I'm guessing that Sam Fields would be the emergency cover there. But what about Ilias Chair? Do you think there's been a real impact from his long-term injury on the team?
Don't get me wrong, the first couple of games, there was a concern, especially Sheffield United. There were times where we were trying to create stuff, but there was definitely something missing. And Lucas Anderson was sort of the lone creative player in that West Brom game. And seeing him at times in that second half, he looked absolutely knackered. So he sort of needed Chair as sort of to have that partner with him. Um, Sheffield United, we managed to get Dembele and Sato in before we played them, so it was handy for us to get them in, and Dembele gets an assist and Sato gets an assist in that game. So um, it goes back to a point where getting these players in like Dembele and Sato, who are quite similar in terms of dribbling, like Chair. So it's sort of if you put Chair, Anderson, Sato, and Dembele all together, it sort of puts you in a position where okay, we can create loads of chances here. So it
Mm.
puts you in a sort of excitement in the next coming months to see if once Chair is back, he should be able to slot in with these guys and yeah, creating chances shouldn't be a problem for us.
There might be a problem in so much as I absolutely agree with the four that you've named there. If they're all trying competing for just two slots, that's where there could be a bit of a problem. And I'm wondering, poor old Ilias Chair must be sitting on the sidelines thinking to himself, well, look, I really do want to play, and I'm sure he does. And look what these guys are doing. Am I going to be okay getting back in? He's going to have to fight, I think, to get back in.
Oh,
And
100%. 100%. I think squad depth is crucial as well. I think our bench is starting to look a bit stronger. I thought second half when Marty made his subs, bringing on Varane in midfield, um, especially Varane, yeah, he gave us that sort of energy in midfield and physicality that he brought on and yeah, we forgot to mention Varane.
I was
I thought
thinking
he
that.
yeah, yeah, I thought he Sheffield United game, the second game of the season. I thought he struggled again physically in that game, but he's now. I think he's impressed a bit more the last couple of games. I
Yeah.
thought Luton was his best game by far, and he's getting involved with the fans as well. So the more he does that, the more he'll be a fan favorite. So um, yeah, um, so far so good in terms of the new players settling in, and hopefully in the coming months they'll just get better.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the other one that we should mention at this point, again, somebody was thrown in at the deep end was Madsen. He signed and then almost immediately shoved out on the pitch to get on with it and see how you do. And has done, to be honest, he's done pretty good. I think he's been quite impressive. I mean, you had Anderson who was injured, and he just covered that position really well. I thought, quite impressed.
Yeah, yeah, he was pretty good against Luton. He got his first goal, um, and I thought he looked very tidy on the ball. I do like the way he goes for long balls out wide to the wingers. So I
That's what
think
he
he's quite
wants.
a composed. Yeah, he's quite a composed midfielder and quite calm. So yeah, more of that. And if we can partner Sam Field,
Even
um,
better. Yeah.
we should be solid in that area.
Yeah, because I think that's where he's obviously intended. And given the fact that Jack Colback can't go a game without getting a yellow card, it's probably just as well. uh, so if we look at the players who were already here last season, are there any of those that have impressed you with their start so far?
Michael Fry, I would say. Um, I think what I noticed in the Plymouth game, especially, he looked slimmer, he looked quicker. Um, I never doubted his physicality. He's always looked pretty strong, but
Yeah.
I noticed that when he was pressing, he looked so much quicker, and it looks like he's done a lot of work over the summer. When he came last season, He looked very big and it was quite slow at times. So I've noticed that he's done a lot of work and some of the goals he's done this season have been quite impressive. And the volley against Luton was a fantastic finish. The way he had to wait for it, it took like an age the way the ball dropped to his feet, and luckily he was just right there to just volley it in, and there was some finish, the power he got on it as well. So I think he's been very crucial for us, especially up top. Now with Dykes leaving and Salah still having time to gel, him for us to be getting us the goals at this early stages, it's quite massive for us, really.
Yeah, I agree. And in fact, that goal you just mentioned, that was the one I put down for my goal of the month. I thought it was really impressive goal. I too have been impressed by the leaner, faster Frey version that we've got. And also, I've got to mention Steve Cook, who's made some fantastic key tackles at the age of what, 33, I think it is. Um,
Yeah.
his his contract expires in May 2025. And I just wonder what the club plans for their captain, because he's playing really well.
Oh yeah, 100%. Some of the things he was doing on Friday just to uh push the team to get towards the final whistle. I thought he because we had to defend the last 10, 15 minutes was a really tough watch, and I thought him and Clark Salter all stood up um in those last minutes of the game, and he's such a well likable guy as well, Steve Cook. I sit in the loft end. He's always well supported down that end, and you can hear him being very vocal, especially towards Nardi when he's playing out from the back. So he has that sort of leadership about him where he just carries across the pitch, and um, yeah, he's definitely a fan favorite for sure. Hopefully, we can get like a maybe one more year extension out of him. It's clear that he loves the club, even though he hasn't been here too long. He loves the club uh,
He
very
does.
well. So hopefully we can keep him for longer. And if we can do anything this season, he'll be a crucial part to that for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree. Anybody from the existing squad who disappointed you at the start of the season?
Um, I wouldn't say disappointed. I think some players have been taking time to get back to what they've been doing last season. I feel that maybe like so Paul Smith has been quite quiet at times. He's having to be sort of like a sub now with the new signings coming in, so he's having to be that sort of impact player to come off the bench. I know he was sort of like that last season, but um, now he's been sort of reserved as like a bench player to sort of come on and try and impress. Um, and I'm not too sure about the others. I think most have been about the same, at the same sort of level. I think what we see now about these players now under Marty, they've been under him for nearly a year now, coming up towards a year. Um, they just seem to be very well coached, especially the likes of Sam Field and Steve Cook and Kenneth Powell. They're doing that at a certain level where you know what you're going to get with them, and if they drop a level, then you'll see that that's not like them. Like the West Brom game at the
Yeah.
opening game of the season, when we conceded 3 goals from 3 crosses, I'm thinking that's not like Steve Cook and Clark Salter. They were solid for us last season. So yeah, we have that sort of expectation now with them where if we get disappointed with those sort of things, then yeah, there could be a problem there.
Yeah, I mean, the only one I've mentioned in the preview shows before that the one that had disappointed me in the first few games was Kenneth Parr. And that's you're fair to mention that really we have expectations. When you know what the players like last season, you expect the same this season. I think Kenneth Parr probably was a bit of a slow burner in getting going again. Because the last few games I thought he's been excellent, really good. So just one of those things. And let's hope that Seller picks up on all this and he starts getting a few goals. It'd be really nice to see.
Yeah, oh, 100%.
Right, so let's move quickly on to reviewing the next three fixtures that we've got in our series of the season. First one up is Sheffield Wednesday against QPR. That's on the 14th of September. They're sitting on 20th position on 3 points. Then we've got, oh yes, we've got the cup game. got the cup game on the Tuesday the 17th, at home to Crystal Palace, and the return of Eze. And Chelsea won, Palace won was their last game, when Eze scored a superb free kick, absolutely superb. Right, and the last one is QPR against Millwall. Gosh, this is going back, isn't it? And that one, Millwall have not had that good a start either. They've had 2 losses and a draw and a win. So they're sitting on 4 points on 15th. So they're below us. We're on 12th position. So first off, Matt, are you surprised that we're in round 3 of the Carabao Cup?
Oh, of course, yeah. Yeah, we're calling this cup run in terms of history. Round 3 is definitely our cup run, and yeah, Crystal Palace is quite exciting. Hopefully, we can fill up the stadium as much as we can. Um, Most fans have called it the Eze Derby, in some ways, and it'd be great to see him back. I know we've seen him in a preseason friendly we played against him a few years ago, but this will be very, very competitive, and yeah, to see him back, and what I love about Eze, he's always put QPR in his mind in terms of his journey. The way he speaks his interviews, he's always been very humble along the way. He's never been big-headed.
No.
Um, and just the last year or so, the progress he's sort of like Palace's go-to player now,
Yeah.
and see him in the Euros as well this summer, featuring in big games. So in a way, he's sort of like a proud father. The way he's sort of grown and now become one of the top players in the Premier League. The likes of Man City are sort of sneaking around him. So it'd be great to see him against Palace. And yeah, I wanted the Premier League team in the round 3 to sort of like, let's get the numbers up in the stadium and let's take the cup into a good way to make the fans excited. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to that game.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. That cup game really raises the usual question mark of who will be in the starting 11. Marty will probably settle for his usual mix of starters and subs, and look to protect, I would have thought, players like Cook, Nardi, and JCS. It would be lovely to see Eze back again at Loftus Road, but even nicer if we could beat Palace. And they have opened up the Ellerslie Sand as well. So, or whatever it's called now, I can't remember what it's called now. So that's been opened up. I think the only bit that's going to be closed is the lower school end. So that's great. I mean, and I think we'll fill it. I'll be
Oh,
surprised.
100%. Yeah, 100%. I think we will. And um, I think looking at the Luton game as well, I thought that was for a team that we had to play back to back in 1 week. I thought that was still a decent attendance, and seeing the scenes at full time after winning that penalty shootout, um, on seeing all the scenes on Twitter, everyone was just pretty excited, and it's great to see. Um, and yeah, Palace will be a really really tough test, of course. You know, as a Mateta has been on fire. So they're very very well drilled team, very good manager as well. So, but we love those sort of games where you get a Prem team that's coming to Loftus Road, and we've got to try and make it as hostile as possible. I remember a few years ago we played Everton in the Carabao Cup, and we managed to beat them on penalties, and that was a full house and it was a great atmosphere. So if we could do the same, then there's every chance we could make it to the next round.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think having both sides of the pitch with fans there is going to really help as well. Um, Coming back to the championship games, we've got 2 of them that look to me, on paper at least, to be a little easier than the ones in August. We've got Wednesday and Millwall. What do you think?
Yeah, Sheffield Wednesday will be because they've been up and down in recent years. I thought last season they stayed up impressively. Um, their manager's quite impressive, Danny Cole. He managed to come in. Sheffield Wednesday were like 15 points adrift, and he managed to keep them up quite easily. So,
Yeah.
um, a manager of a very similar style in terms of style of play. Um, Last season we lost to them in the last minute of stoppage time, which is quite heartbreaking and yeah, always a tough place to go. Of course, the historic place, Hillsborough. Um, but yeah, definitely one we should be able to kick on from the Luton game. The Luton game is this. I know it's a 2 week break, but it would definitely give us confidence for these two games coming up. To get that first win of the season on Friday, it should put us in good stead for Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, neither Wednesday or Millwall have had the ideal start to the season. So, as I said, on paper, it should be easier. And quite honestly, I'd expect a win if we're going to carry on with the same as we are. That said, Millwall seem to rise to the occasion every time we play them. Let's see. Let's hope that things change. Anyway, let's move on to general discussion. There's talk of significant work being performed at Loftus Road. Do you think this is an acceptance that Hammersmith and Fulham Council are not interested in us developing the Linford Christie Stadium?
Yeah, I think that's definitely run its course now. For quite some time, we've been pushing to find a stadium somewhere. I think once that got rejected, I think fans have sort of decided, yeah, that's going to be it for a long time, I suspect. Because being in Hammersmith and Fulham, you've got so many football clubs around that area as well. It's so difficult to compete with the likes of Brentford and Fulham and Chelsea that obviously want to maybe extend their plans for their stadiums and find certain areas for like a training ground. So it's going to be so hard to compete against them with their Premier League money and yeah, I think this is going to be an issue for quite some time. Um, unless we're in the Premier League in years to come, that could change the narrative. But in this moment in time, it's going to be quite difficult with the budget that we have, and being in the Championship. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. So finally, Matt, I was going to ask you, from what you've seen and heard and what we've achieved so far this season anyway, how much of that do you think can be attributed to Marty?
Uh, well, I think at first he wasn't completely 100% with the players that he had. Um, Now we've got players in. I think now we've got the squad depth to compete at a certain level where we can take on the likes of Sheffield United and Luton. Um, and I think he'll be very happy with especially with the Luton result on Friday, but just seeing the players that have managed to come in and starting to settle in, and it just makes the next coming months, September, October especially, exciting to try and get more points and stay in the top half. I read it's the first time winning on Friday is the first time we've been in the top half under his management. So I think he deep down he wants to make us competitive and put us in that top half and keep us there for most of the season. So um, yeah, I think he's done the job as well as he could so far. Um, it's quite crazy after the Sheffield United. It's half time during the Sheffield United game. It was 2-0 down, and everyone was sort of questioning his sort of okay, this is his chance now to show us what he's got. I thought that was a little bit ridiculous. I think you got to think where he was a year ago under Gareth Ainsworth. Um, yeah, we could be in a worse position than we were. So, um, yeah, he's doing great. And I know I said playoffs last on my predictions. I think a few months ago. I did downplay those expectations with the signings that we've got and especially where we started this season. I think if we can downplay those expectations, I think we could still do pretty decent. Um, but yeah, we got to let these players like Sella, Dembele, Sato to settle in more, and yeah, 100%. I think he's done great.
Yeah, I mean, I love his style of play, even if I do get nervous when we play out from the back. And I want to see my side attacking. Who doesn't? I also want to see them defending well, which they're doing. And I want to see crosses and passes into the danger area. All of this I'm seeing now. So for me, you know, Martin can get as much praise as he likes, and so can the team. However, I'd also like to mention that how impressed I am with how he's doing with subs. When he's bringing subs on, he is so good on where he's doing them. We went through half a season under Gareth Ainsworth where substitutions either never happened or were wrong choices or too late. Marty uses his toolkit very well, I think.
Oh, 100%. I think he senses when we got a chance to get a point from the game or even snatch a winner. He doesn't really put on defensive subs. I've noticed that he wants to go for it no matter what the situation is,
Yeah.
especially at home. If we're like a couple of goals down, even if we're a man down, he'll still put the attacking sub on to try and if we get one back, you never know, we could get a draw out of this. So I do like his winning mentality and I think the fans love it as well. So I hope it continues.
Yeah, I agree with you. Okay, well, that brings us to the end of this Rangers roundup. And I'd like to quickly thank my guest, Matt, as ever, for his usual considered opinions, editor James, and of course, all of you for watching. If you're watching on our YouTube channel, please click on subscribe and also perhaps add a comment or two below. We'll be back with another Rangers roundup later in the season. Meanwhile, look out for our regular preview podcast before each fixture and any specials when we chat to players or club officials. And when also we're doing these ones where we ask fans questions. I'm Brian Fisher, and this has been a Hoops and Dreams QPR podcast. Come on, you R's.